Sri Lanka and Japan. They are two countries enjoying very strong and cordial diplomatic relations for a period of over 7 decades. These relations were nourished under the ancient Buddhist and traditional Asian cultural aspects. And those relations were galvanized, especially after the San Francisco summit, just following the World War II, where Sri Lanka expressed its support for Japan in the historic speech made by former President Jayawardena. Since then, Sri Lanka and Japan were on a path of very strong and friendly relationship. Sri Lankans love Japan. They love Japanese culture. They love Japanese symbols such as sakura flower, Mount Fuji, then Japanese brands, automobiles, then younger generation, J-pop and anime cartoons, many things. At the same time, Japan is an all-weather friend of Sri Lanka. Japan was with us every time when we were in trouble. So, during the current financial crisis, Japan spearheaded the program of mustering international support for Sri Lanka. As a part of this process, Honorable Minister of Finance, Japan, Mr. Shun'ichi Suzuki is now in Sri Lanka for a 2-day visit. Suzuki-san, konnichiwa.
Konnichiwa.
Welcome to Sri Lanka.
Thank you.
Minister Suzuki entered the Japanese Parliament back in 1990, 34 years almost. Then he held many important portfolios under many Japanese leaders such as Junichiro Koizumi as well as late Prime Minister Shinzo Abe. Since 2021, he is holding the most important portfolio of finance. Once again, Minister, it's a great honor for us as the national television Rupavahini, because Rupavahini is a gift of Japan back in 1982. So, it's a great honor for us to have this discussion with you. First, I would like to ask you, now your current visit is taking place at a very crucial time in Sri Lanka, because Sri Lanka is gradually getting out of this current crisis. So, what's the main focus of your visit in Sri Lanka?
スリランカと我が国はですね、友好的に歴史的にも大変友好国であります。そして先ほどお話がございましたけれども、戦後ジャヤワルダナ元大統領が対日賠償権の放棄でありますとか、あるいは日本の国際社会への復帰ということにつきまして、サンフランシスコ講和条約の折に演説を行ってくださいました。当時戦争で打ちひしがれていた日本の国民はこの演説によって大いに励まされたわけであります。またスリランカはインド洋のシーレーン上の戦略的な要衝に位置をして日本が提唱いたしております自由で開かれたインド太平洋の実現の観点からも大変重要なパートナーであるとそのように認識しています。
Well, Japan and Sri Lanka have enjoyed a long history of friendship, and as you've just pointed out, after the war, at the time of the San Francisco Peace Conference, your former president, President Jayawardena, declared renunciation of reparation claims against Japan and delivered an ever-memorable speech in which His Excellency called for readmitting Japan as a member of the international community, which profoundly encouraged the Japanese people at the time who were devastated by the war. Furthermore, Sri Lanka is at a strategic location of the sea lanes in the Indian Ocean and is an important partner for Japan in realizing FOIP, or Free and Open Indo-Pacific, which Japan is promoting.
こうした友好関係の中にあって日本はこれまでもスリランカに対しまして経済協力もしてまいりました。 円借款等による開発協力、あるいは技術支援を実施をするとともに、今回の債務危機におきましては、債権国会合を創設をして、債務再編のプロセスを主導をしてまいりました。このような背景のもと、ウィクラマシンハ大統領との面会や視察を通じまして、スリランカに関する知見を深め、両国の協力関係をさらに強化したいと考えて、今回の訪問に至った次第です。
On the back of our friendship, in terms of economic cooperation, Japan has implemented development cooperation and technical assistance through yen loans and through other means. In the face of the recent debt crisis, Japan established the Official Creditors Committee, or the OCC, and has led the debt restructuring process. Against this backdrop, I decided to visit Sri Lanka to deepen my understanding of Sri Lanka and to further solidify our cooperation through my meeting with your President Wickramasinghe, and my visits to places of importance here.
Yes, as you mentioned during your visit, during your current tour, you visited many important places. Could you elaborate more on that, as well as what do you think about current development and economic prospects of Sri Lanka?
今回は2日間の滞在でありますけれども、ウィキラマシンハ大統領やあるいはアベイ・ワルダナ国会議長、さらにはサブリ外務大臣、またプレマダーサ野党リーダーなどのこの政治のリーダーの皆さんと意見交換をすることができました。こうした意見交換を通じて相互の理解と信頼関係を深めることができたと、そのように思っております。合わせてバンダラナイケ国際空港、コロンボ港、ケラニ橋といった陸海空のインフラ、そして高等教育機関でありますLNBTI、地域の中核医療機関でありますスリジャやワルダナプラ総合病院といった市民生活に身近な施設、ジャヤワルダナ大統領の記念館や国会議事堂といった政治行政関係の施設を視察することができました。そのいずれもこれまでの我が国の無償有償の支援を通じた日本政府からの協力によるものや、日本企業がその建設に関わるなど、日本とスリランカの歴史的な結びつきを象徴するものでありまして、2022年に両国の国交が結ばれて70周年を迎えたわけでございますが、まさに両国の特別な関係を再確認する機会となりました。
During my 2-day visit to your beautiful country, I was given an opportunity to see His Excellency President Wickramasinghe at his presidential secretariat. I also had a chance to meet with some of your political leaders, such as Honorable Abe Iwaldana, the Speaker, Honorable Sabri, Minister of Foreign Affairs, and Honorable Premadasa, the leader of the opposition. In addition, during my stay, I have visited land, air, and sea infrastructure sites such as Bandanalaike International Airport, Port of Colombo, and Kirani Bridge. I also visited institutions that are close to civic life in Sri Lanka, such as LNBTI, Lanka Nippon BizTech Institute, a higher education institution, and Sri Jaya Warudanapura General Hospital, a regional medical services hub, and political and executive administrative facilities such as Jaya Warudana Center and your parliament. They all have been built either with the cooperation of the government of Japan through grant and loan facilities or with engagement by Japanese companies. They all symbolize the historical bond between our two nations. It has been a wonderful opportunity for me to reaffirm and rediscover the special relations, special bond between our two nations, which celebrated the 70th anniversary of diplomatic ties back in 2022.
日本では一般的にスリランカといいますと大変風光明媚な観光地でありますとか、それから大変おいしいお茶が産出されるという、そういうイメージを持つわけであります。しかしそうしたこの観光経済資源ですねに加えてスリランカには人的な資源という大きなポテンシャルがあるということに今回改めてそのことを強く感じたところであります。例えば今日訪れました LNBTI の学生との意見交換を通じて ICT の専門スキルと日本語の語学力を身につけた若い人材が養成されていると育成されている。これは日本の企業で活躍しようとしていることに頑張っているわけでありまして、大きな感銘を受けたところです。こうした日本とスリランカの相互の友好関係、これを今後とも一層強化していきたいと、そういうふうに思っています。
In Japan, many people may think of Sri Lanka as a scenic tourist destination or a tea-producing country. In addition to such economic resources that your country enjoys, I was reminded that Sri Lanka also has a great potential in human resources. For example, the discussion I had with the students of LMBTI impressed me a lot. These are young people of Sri Lanka who are acquiring both ICT skills and Japanese language skills, keen to unleash their potential by working for Japanese companies in the future. I was deeply impressed. I renewed my commitment to further strengthen mutual friendship between Japan and Sri Lanka.
Yes, as you mentioned, you had discussion with our President, His Excellency Ranil Wickremesinghe. So what were the main focuses during those discussions?
大統領とは面会を通じまして改めて長年の両国の友好関係、そして協力関係を一層強化していくことということで一致をしたところであります。そして1月の1日に日本では大きな地震が起きたわけでありますが、大統領から大変に心温まるお見舞いのお言葉も頂戴をして感謝を申し上げたところでございます。大統領との話の中で中心的な話は債務再編についてでありまして、このことにつきましては引き続き IMF プログラムの下での改革の継続が重要であること、また債務再編に関する今後の合意文書の早期署名や透明性公平性を確保した上での債権国会合外の債権者との合意が重要であることなどについて話をしたところであります。また債務危機の発生に伴い供与を止めております円借款の扱いを含めまして今後の経済協力の進め方についても大統領と議論をしたところであります。
The President and I once again came to an agreement to further strengthen bilateral cooperation between our two nations, which have already enjoyed a long-standing friendship. And I also took the opportunity to express our deepest gratitude for the President's warm message of condolences and sympathy on the heels of a major earthquake which struck Japan on the 1st of January. With regards to debt restructuring, which obviously was at the center of my discussion with the President, we discussed particularly that continuation of reform under the IMF program remains important, that early signing of an MOU on debt restructuring and reaching an agreement with creditors outside of the OCC while ensuring transparency and comparability is important. We also discussed the ways to advance future economic cooperation, including the treatment of yen loans, which had to be suspended in the face of the debt crisis.
Yes, now, as I mentioned in my opening remarks, Japan is one of the key development partners of Sri Lanka. Sri Lankans and Sri Lanka, we have a great faith on Japan's sincere assistance. So, what can you say about the future Japanese development projects in Sri Lanka, such as now there are a lot of talks about light railway system and development of Bandar Naik International Airport, so and so. So, what can you say about the future of Japanese assistance for Sri Lanka?
今後のですね、経済社会開発に、日本がどうスリランカに貢献をしていくかということでありますが、まずですね、足元にあります債務問題、これにしっかり取り組むことが必要であると思っています。この債務問題につきましては、昨年11月末スリランカ債務国会合とスリランカ政府との間で債務再編条件について基本合意に至ったところでありますが、先ほど申し上げました合意文書の署名など今後のプロセスを着実に進めることが極めて肝要であると思っています。今後も日本はスリランカ債権国会合の共同議長として債務再編プロセスの進展に貢献していきたいと、そういうふうに考えています。
Well, your question is on how Japan could possibly make a contribution for the socio-economic development of your country in the future. I believe, first of all, the debt problem should be firmly addressed. And on the debt issue, the OCC and the government of Sri Lanka reached an agreement in principle on terms and conditions of debt restructuring at the end of November last year. But it remains crucial to steadily take the process forward, such as the signing of an MOU I referred to earlier. As a co-chair of the OCC, Japan looks forward to making a contribution in taking the debt restructuring process forward for economic and social development.
その上でですね、経済社会開発については、今般の債務危機の発生に伴い円借款の供与はすべて止めざるを得ませんでしたけれども、大統領と今後の経済協力の進め方について意見交換をいたしました。今回の訪問でバンダラナイケ国際空港でありますとか、あるいはケラニ橋などの視察を行い、日本の円借款で進められていた事業がスリランカの経済社会に果たす役割の重要性というものを再認識することができました。こうした今回の経験を踏まえまして、今後ですね、債務再編プロセスの着実な進展を確認をしながら円借款の再開に向けた議論を行っていくことを考えているところであります。
Having said that, for economic and social development, provision of all yen loans had to be suspended in the face of the debt crisis. But the President and I exchanged views on ways to promote economic cooperation in the future. During my stay, I visited such places like Bandanalaike International Airport and Kirani Bridge, and I was reminded of the importance of projects that had been implemented using yen loans for the socio-economic development of Sri Lanka. Based on this experience, Japan intends to have discussions towards the resumption of yen loans while ascertaining steady progress of the debt restructuring process.
Finally, would you like to say something to the friendly people of Sri Lanka?
最後にスリランカ国民へのメッセージがあればお願いいたします。
スリランカの方々はですね、大変心が温かい、そういう思いを感じています。それと同時に高度人材がたくさんいらっしゃる、英語もですね、多くの方が十分話すことができておりますし、数学とかそういうものにも強いという話も聞いたことがございます。まさに人柄、国民性プラス能力の面でもスリランカの国民の皆さんは 大変に高く評価されるべき方々であると思っております。こうした国民で作られておりますスリランカという国と我が国がですね歴史的な友好関係にあるということ、これは大変素晴らしいことであると同時にこれを大切にしたいと思っております。今後とも日本としてスリランカとの友好関係、これがさらに前進して強固なものになりますように私も努力をしていきたいと考えています。
Well, I believe the people of Sri Lanka have warm hearts and you have abundant skilled workers in this country, many of them fluent in English, and they are very strong, good at math, for example. So the national character of Sri Lanka and the competence of its people should be highly evaluated, I believe. Sri Lanka and Japan have always enjoyed a history of a strong friendship, but there is a need for both of us to work to cherish and nurture this already strong friendship to an even stronger one. And as a country and as a person, I am fully committed to further solidify our friendship in the coming years.
Honorable Minister, thank you very much for being with us, and it was a great opportunity for us to get a first-hand information and account related to the ongoing developments of the bilateral relations between Japan and Sri Lanka. Arigatou gozaimashita.
Thank you. ありがとうございます。
And at the same time, I would like to thank His Excellency Misokoshi Hideaki, the Japanese ambassador of Sri Lanka, and his staff. At the same time, the JICA headed by Mr. Tetsuya Yamada for their excellent support for Sri Lanka and their endeavor to support Sri Lanka and develop Sri Lanka and enhance the bilateral relations between Japan and Sri Lanka. Thank you very much.